Thanks for being here, everybody. We're just going to let everybody filter in, get comfy, get settled. Great to be with you. Grab some water if you don't have any. We're going to be together for about 90 minutes here, so stay hydrated. Make sure you got a snack. This is amazing. It's going to be a fun conversation about community. We had well over 100 people register to join us today, and plenty more through social media and YouTube later, people that can't make it today. So thanks for everybody for being here, whether you're watching it live, you're in the recording. This is a great time. If you can, we'd love to know a little bit about where you're coming from. Where are you in relation to a geographical spot that feels like home? Where are you calling from? I see some familiar faces. I see new ones. Yeah, just go ahead and pop into the chat. Where are you? Where are you calling from? Nelson, Castlegar, Saskatoon. Yes, Grand Forks, beautiful. Salmo. The beautiful Kootenays, right on. Hey Joey, I saw your wave there. How's it going? Beautiful. Langley. Hey Alan. Amazing. Yeah, about 3 minutes, guys. We're going to get started, so make sure you're comfortable. Sunshine Coast. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here. Calgary. Love to see it. Just outside of Nelson, originally Saskatoon. Yes, that westward migration. We're all familiar with that. Out of the gates, while we still get to know each other a little bit, I'm curious, is there anything specifically that drew you to this presentation, to this open house? What motivated you? What inspired you? What are you interested in? What are you passionate about? We're going to get into lots more about that, but if there's something that's just really standing out to you, I'd love to hear it. Awesome. Thanks for being here, guys. This is great. Looks like we've about filtered in. It's great to see. I'm going to go ahead and transition to my slides. Welcome, everyone. Good to be here. I just want to make sure, can you see my face? Is that abundantly clear to you? Wave, say hello to me. Let me know you're in the room. Hello, hello, friends. Right on. And now, can you also see the slides? Should say Cooper Creek Village. Give me a thumbs up. I can see all of your faces. Yes, thank you very much. So it seems like we're clear right now. We're on the same page. Welcome to the Cooper Creek Village virtual open house. Thanks for being here with you. This is a conversation about community, with this community, with you guys, in the midst of a larger community of the Kootenays and BC and Canada, the whole planet. This is a worldwide movement, and this is just a local version of it that's happening right now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. It's always amazing to see live faces, thinking about community, sharing about community, finding out what matters to you, and seeing what we can co-create together. I'm Josh. I'm going to be walking you through this conversation. I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Thank you for sharing who you are, where you're from. Let's get started, if that works for you. Cooper Creek Village is a community initiative initiated by a community where we are looking to create something right here in the heart of the Kootenays that has never really been done before. We're looking for a regenerative community experience. We're going to get into what regeneration looks like. We're going to talk about what kind of community you guys want to create. I'm going to introduce you to the team, the fantastic, enthusiastic team that has been working behind the scenes for months and even years to get to the point where we're able to have a conversation about Cooper Creek with you, the general public. Ultimately, our goal right now is to share this opportunity with you, to explain the fundamentals of how we've created a plan in advance of sharing it with you so that you know where to go from here if you want to be involved. How's that sound, everybody? You guys stoked? Okay, right on. So this is the outline. I'm going to go through all of this together. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. There's going to be a few moments where I introduce you to the rest of the team. And I just want you to know I'm really excited to be here. Our whole team is so enthusiastic about this project, and it means a lot to us. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for your attention. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And welcome. There are so many people in this room right now. We've got community builders. We've got potential founding residents. We have students, homesteaders. We got builders, fixers, growers, writers, philosophers. I'm curious, who do you understand yourself to be in relation to community? What role do you play? How do you understand how you're integrated with your own community? Who are you and what role matters to you within the realm of community? Go ahead and share in the chat. I'd just love to hear from you guys, see what resonates for you. And either way, I just want you to know you are in the right place. We need such a diverse range of skill sets to make a community thrive, right? So you taking the time to be here, you learning about community and how to integrate yourself into it, how to become part of a larger community, these are really important conversations that we all get to have with each other. Strategizer, somebody's focused on, Alicia says she's focused on health. That's beautiful. What other roles do you guys feel like you play when it comes to building and participating within community? Community builders, homesteaders, growers, gardeners. Yes, this is exactly it. Counseling, beautiful. We need that mental health. We need to be emotionally aware. Ooh, we got Fred. Fred's a hype man. Every community needs a couple hype men. Thanks for being here, Fred. Right on. Lots of gardening, lots of connection with nature. We got nerds. We got artists. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Keep sharing. This is really cool. I'm going to keep rolling through. Cooper Creek, let's be very clear on the mission. The mission is a world living in loving harmony with ourselves, with each other, with the community as a whole, right? We want humans to thrive. We want nature to thrive. And any development that we want to create together, we want to ensure that both of those are successes at the same time, because that's what symbiosis is all about. So Cooper Creek stands to be the Kootenays' first and trailblazing project to create a regenerative and affordable community. We're looking to incorporate sustainable design, looking at shared resources and amenities, and a culture of collaboration. This will foster deep connection and, of course, ecological harmony. What our hope is that once Cooper Creek is successful, this is not just the end of the road, but the beginning. This becomes the prototype of what is possible throughout the Kootenays, throughout BC, across Canada, and around the world. Now, let's not be mistaken. These kinds of projects are already underway globally, and you'll hear more about that as we go. But this is groundbreaking in terms of its role within the Kootenays. So we're very excited about that. Before we get into Cooper Creek, I want to zoom way out. Let's talk big picture. There's a context, there's a background, there's momentum globally as the human experience surrounds the globe, and there's several conversations that are always at the forefront right now. One of them, and you're probably familiar with it, is the housing crisis. It's always on the news. Things are getting more expensive. We don't have enough homes. Construction costs in terms of both time and money make it inaccessible for us to have the homes that we need for the people that live around us. Of course, then there's the ecological concerns of how do we use the resources that the planet gives us without extracting to the point where we're actually creating a more damaged environment. How do we deal with forest fires and the smoke and the ash that fills our skies in the summers? How do we contend with rising temperatures and global warming and all sorts of different metrics that we could look at to understand that we're losing biodiversity and that we want to have a better, more sustainable environmental relationship. And of course, then there's the inner experience, the isolation, the disconnection, the sense of loneliness and the mental health issues that go with that, the depression, the anxiety, illness and addiction. Right now, we're dealing with a human species that, while maybe at the outset it looks like we're thriving, but when you start looking into the subtext of everything that's going on, there are certainly challenges that feel like they're systemic, complex. There's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of, well, how do we solve this if we haven't changed this? Chicken and egg scenarios. And so what we want to do is we want to look at what is the solution that feels holistic, that feels like it comes from a place of abundance, right? So we want to have a new way of solving these problems beyond and behind dealing with them as symptoms. This is where community comes in. Community is a solution. When we look at community as a solution, we start realizing that we're checking the boxes of abundance of housing and balancing that with ecological stewardship and ensuring that we have harmonious relationships with ourselves, with others, and with nature. This looks like having smaller footprints of houses and more shared and collaborative resources that allow us to still have what we need, but not necessarily have to have one lawnmower or et cetera in every garage. When we look at ecological stewardship, we're talking about things like regenerative agriculture and design. Jean-Marc is going to join us in a little bit, and he's going to talk about what that looks like in more detail. We also have permaculture and aligned incentives with nature, where when the environment around us thrives, we also thrive. Co-ownership and collaboration is also, it's kind of a lifestyle choice. When we deal with traditional human scale collaborative efforts, we're saying, hey, I'm here, I'm present, so are you. What can we do together? How can we start moving now? What choices can we make and actions can we take that are from an inspired space where we are aligning our visions and then moving in a collaborative direction? This means that it's more inclusive. It means that we also recognize that we have more agency, more potential, more power and capacity to make changes in our environment. Pretty exciting. This is the value that we want to instill into a community that we are creating. So globally, what does this look like? I know this is not a global map, but it is a perspective that shows you the trend that's happening. Right now, we need more homes. By 2030, we need an additional 3.5 million homes in Canada. Right now, when you go onto intentionalcommunities.org, you'll see that there is a massive trend, this up level that's happening of intentional communities that are focused on eco-villages, permaculture, regeneration, 518 of them in North America alone right now. And when you compare the quality of life in these communities that are rising up, it is amongst the highest in the world in terms of quality of life, mental well-being, and the choice that people continue to make to invest more in these communities in the future. To that end, the co-living experience is expected to grow by 16% per year, and we may hit $9 billion in terms of revenue, in terms of the size of the market by the end of this year. So what you can see from this is that globally, we are already thinking about a new way of living, a new way of creating community, a deeper and more resonant form of connection. Construction is also changing as a result. We're recognizing that in terms of the way that we're depleting resources, in terms of the amount of land that it takes to build homes for everybody, this is not sustainable and we need to make shifts. So we can see the pricing is going up as we're dealing with scarcity and logistical issues, but also we're finding better ways of doing things. Modular housing is creating a new market where suddenly we can imagine erecting a house and putting it on ground and doing this in a scalable fashion. And it actually costs 20% less resources and up to 40% less time. So we're saying, wow, there's actually a smarter way to do this. There's better materials, there's better supply chain solutions. So the construction industry is already moving in the direction to support the types of communities that we're talking about today. Nationally in Canada, you can see examples of successful communities that are at their beginning stages or already well formed. Big Calm is in the Slocan, if you guys are familiar with that one. Those are friends of ours. We love seeing what they're doing in terms of creating these pads. How do you get people around the same dinner table? How do you create a balanced demographic where everybody feels like they're supported by the gifts, traits, skills, and resources of everybody else? Our Eco Village out in Vancouver Island, Treehouse Village in Nova Scotia, and then Queens Bay and Nelson. What all of these have in common is they're asking the question of how can we live together in a more sustainable way, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and environmentally. What we're seeing in simple terms is a change in the way that we live. The future of living is going to go from this isolated model of everybody having separate experiences, separate cars, separate homes, and a sense of the isolation that comes with that. And now we're getting more integrated. We're getting more connected. We're going from extraction, where we're just taking something from one part of the planet so we can build something somewhere else. And we're looking at how do we take things from where we are and also give back to create a life cycle that is sustainable and actually regenerative over time. How do we take something that used to be a consumptive way of living, where it was all about what we can get and take, and how can we actually look within us and to our communities to be resourceful and creative in terms of the solutions that we can offer? So I want to know in the chat right now, what excites you about community living? Why are you here? You may have answered a little bit already, but I'd love to hear within this global context and why you're here and what drives you to participate in conversations like this. What excites you about connected community living? Also, I do want to share, while you guys are filling out the chat, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We will be having a Q&A a little bit later, and Matt here is going to capture those questions, and if they need to be answered by text, you'll get a response. If they seem really potent and we want to explore them more in the Q&A, he's saving them, so stick around because we will get into some really exciting dialogue. So let's hear about it. What are we interested in about community? We're passionate about a sense of community, knowing who our neighbors are. We know our neighbors. That's almost miraculous to think about for some of us right now. Freedom from oppression, absolutely. There's a sense of decentralized power that happens when a small group of people has more agency and ability to choose their direction together as a group. Yep. Equity, being able to build equity. I love that. Oh, these are beautiful answers. Thank you guys so much. Community is one of the most resonant conversations that we can have together. And it's the starting place of everything good that we have to give and can receive from each other. So thank you for doing that. Yep, Scott says being in connection with nature. That is so important. Thank you, Scott. So I want to introduce you to some of the people that I'm very excited about. This is the genesis story of, now we're going to talk about Cooper Creek. So when we talk about Cooper Creek, this is north of Caslow. It's at the end of Kootenay Lake. It is a beautiful piece of land, and a creek runs down from the mountains. And if you were to go up there, you might run into some friendly faces, and they might introduce themselves as Bob and Cheryl Sinclair, and they would say that they're the landowners. And I'd love for you guys to get a chance to meet them right now, as they have been the landowners for generations for this property, and are one of the inspired people that have been at the forefront of this project to make it happen for a long time. So I'm going to invite Bob and Cheryl to come join us for a second. And there we go. Hello, Bob and Cheryl. How are you?
Audio working. I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, there you go.
I'm Cheryl, and I'm so super excited about everything that's happening with the property. It's something Bob and I have dreamed about for a long, long time. Time flew away, and it's property's been in our family for over 100 years, and we want to do something special with it. Getting a little old for that to take on by ourselves. Decided to sell the property, met John Mark right away, and then from there to here has just been a roller coaster ride of wonderful things, listening to all the opportunities that could take place there, or what is available there for everyone. Just super excited to see it come to fruition, and met so many wonderful people already. And I'm really looking forward to meet more. And what we expect from the property or wanted it is exactly what's being put forth right now. And that's it for me. I'll pass it on to Bob.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I think the only thing I would say is that we wanted to keep the land as one big parcel rather than subdivide it up into small chunks, and maintain as much of the forest as we can with this project. because that's, to me, what makes it special. You have a 1,500 feet of creek frontage and a forest scene, so it's hard to beat the natural pristine area that it is.
If you guys were going to live at Cooper Creek and you got to hang out with Bob and Cheryl every day, you'd be blessed. They've been a gift to work with. They've been excellent stewards of the land. They do it because they know it's the right thing to do and not because anybody asked them to. And yeah, it's really a gift to see the way that you guys do care for the property and the level of intention that you bring to the type of experience that you want to have as a community, and ensuring that it's multi-generational, that people are aligned to the same vision, that there's equality within the decision-making process. It's a real gift to have kind of landowners like this in the process of creating any community. Working with the landowners and having them involved in this process is so powerful, rather than just buying a piece of land or having an adversarial relationship that can often happen. We're in such a great spot to have such a talented team, bolstered by Bob and Cheryl being stewards of this land. So thank you guys very much for being here. Right on. Now I'd like to introduce to you Jean-Marc, who is Bob and Cheryl mentioned them. When Bob and Cheryl had this initial vision, they met Jean-Marc. I'm going to let Jean-Marc take it from here, but he has been the visionary and connector that has assembled this team and has been in the background for quite a while, bringing this vision to life. Hey, Jean-Marc, how you doing?
Hey, Josh, thanks so much. And thank you all for being here. It's actually been a pretty tough week for us in Caslow and BC. You guys have probably all heard the news. I just want to take a moment to hold space for the loss that we feel deeply in our community right now. Our friend Jason Rempel of Stellar Heli Skiing, along with two others, tragically lost their lives in an avalanche. Bob and Cheryl actually know the Rempel family really well. They live up in the same neck of the woods and known Jason since birth. They were all doing what they loved, and it reminds us how fragile and precious life is. Our hearts go out to the families, friends, and all those that are grieving on the call today. We want to carry the spirit of adventure, dedication, and community into this meeting, approaching our work with love, strength, and care for another.
Yeah, thanks, Jean-Marc.
Without further ado, my name is Jean-Marc Laflamme from the Kootenay Lake Innovation Center, where I am right now in Caslow, BC, downtown. I've been deep in the world of microhome communities for over a decade. What started as a local passion projects in Revelstoke, and yeah, you could just leave it at that one slide there before jumping into the geoship slide there, Josh, but that's fine. That's fine right there.
Yeah.
And what started as a local passion project in Revelstoke, and honestly, with a lot of trial and error, has become my full-time mission. Today, I'm working with hundreds of communities globally, all focused on one thing, and that's crushing the cost of living so that we can radically improve our lives with regenerative technologies and tackle some of the biggest challenges on Earth. And let me tell you, we're seeing exponential growth of this better way of life around the world. And so, yeah, you can kind of clip through to the slide, Geoship, and you can see I'm a co-owner and I lead regenerative business development at Geoship, where I spend most of my time supporting customers and investors in over 100 countries. We're building something truly revolutionary, climate resilient geodesic domes that are fireproof, hurricane and earthquake resistant, made from one natural, non-toxic, abundant, affordable, and healthy material called bioceramic. It lies right under your feet and has the same composition as your bone. This home will be paired with digital tools that allow communities to design and build their villages together, not housing developments, real villages, cultural places co-created with community input and nature as a co-designer. Our company has a bold Earthshot goal to make the best home on Earth the most affordable home and scale manufacturing to 1 million domes per year. We already have $300 million in pre-order, and we start production later this year with plans to deploy in Canada by 2027. So we're not just building homes, we're reinventing ownership. Geoship is transitioning from a multi-stakeholder cooperative where customers and nature stewards own 50% of the company. This combination of a revolutionary product, business model, and ownership structure enables deep impact like never before. So now we can co-own housing companies, the food systems, the energy systems, the mobility companies, all in partnership with nature. And that's what regenerative looks like to us. We need to get out of this expensive, toxic, outdated money pits that we call real estate and step into a whole new way of living. So while we wait for this housing innovation to thrive, and it's still incubating at the moment, going to production for the next couple of years, along with hundreds of companies that are aligned, we can get started today with Canadian Housing Solutions. So next slide. The other way. Yeah, for Cooper Creek Village, we can build locally made microhomes for approximately $50,000 to $100,000, 350 to 750 square foot range. Last summer, we hosted a 4-event impact festival showcasing some of these solutions. I'll just kind of post that festival in the chat right there. And you know, let me ask you this, like, how many of you actually want to live this way? If you're with me, give me a hell yes in the chat. And now here's why this matters so much. The internet is full of creators showcasing thousands of examples of housing innovation, but the world is still struggling. Globally, only 1.7 billion people don't have adequate shelter. And in Canada, nearly half of us are house poor, barely keeping up with mortgage and rent payments. So imagine this, just in your community, if just 100 families move from like this average, which is turning into a $750,000 home, to a $50,000 or $100,000 home, that frees up a minimum of $10 million per year of spending power for our community. That's money no longer tied up in banks that could be circulating back to the local economy, supporting small business, building better infrastructure, and funding real community projects. And that's just the kind of disruption we need. And yeah, so I wanted to mention one thing about regenerative living. Next slide there, Josh. Because you hear this term thrown around a lot. For me, I've been in this space now for, well, doing microhome communities for about 10 years, and then a regenerative living space for like 6, 7 years. It's a holistic approach that aligns human life with natural rhythms of the earth. It's more than just doing less harm. It's about creating systems where the output of one system becomes the input of another, just like nature. Food scraps become compost to grow more food. Rainwater nourishes gardens. Waste become a resource. This mindset applies to everything from how we build homes to how we share energy, water, food, and transportation. So at Cooper Creek Village, we're starting with affordable microhomes to crush the cost of living, freeing people from this survival mode that we have. And from there, we can build the interconnected systems that regenerate the land, support each other, and leave our communities better than we found them. And that's it for me. Over to you, Josh.
One of my favorite things about Jean-Marc is that every time I get on the phone call with him, he's living in the future. He's immediately thinking 5, 10, 15 years in advance and plotting the course of how we're going to act and create and collaborate today so that we arrive at an outcome that we're excited about. It's like time travel every time I pick up the phone with him, and very inspiring. So thank you for your vision, Jean-Marc. Thanks for dreaming this dream and then collaborating the team to bring it into reality. That's a real gift. It's a skill sets that we value. Right on. Give me 1 second here. Cool. So let's talk about Cooper Creek. That's the background, that's the philosophy, it's the vision. What is it? Cooper Creek is 28 acres of beautiful property, creekside, right at the intersection of Duncan Lake and Kootenay Lake. Our intention is to build 24 reinforced concrete serviced pads that you can put tiny modular homes on, and they're clustered to foster collaboration so that we'll have various pods of homes together around a shared, very large community center. The community center would have a shared kitchen, it would have co-working space, it would have a gym, it would have the needs that the community decides that it wants inside that shared structure. Right now it's a home, so we'll renovate it. There would also be a very robust community garden and probably multiple garden sites where we can begin to build some of these regenerative systems and regenerative agriculture systems that we've been talking about. And also, it's really important to underscore that this is intended to be multi-generational. What we're looking for is families with young children. We're looking for single people. We're looking for couples. We're looking for people who are self-employed. We're looking for people that want to start something new. And we're looking for elders, seniors, the wisdom of how to live in harmony with other people. We want to experience the full spectrum as this community. And that's really important to think about because it means that you belong there, right? You're not too old. You're not too young. There's no too anything. This is for the full range of humanity to come together and show the Kootenays what is possible. And the Kootenays has always been a place where we get to show the world what is possible. So the idea being that we have got this beautiful piece of land and part of it is actually already cleared. So what that means is that when we build these modular homes, we're keeping most of the ecosystem in fully functioning form. So you can see here's a map. This is Cooper Creek right up there at the top of the lake. This is a beautiful picture at the top of some of the trees and the river flowing right beside that shared community house. And then we've got a beautiful image rendering that shows the vibe, the kind of style that we could imagine this looking like. However, that's totally up for co-creation with the founding residents of Cooper Creek Village. This is a draft site plan. We're working with, well, and I'll get into the rest of the team in a minute, but we're working with Mark from Ellenwood Homes. He helped us put this together. And he's done a lot of pricing, a lot of strategy, a lot of ensuring that the infrastructure that we're building is in line with those regenerative principles and also meets the codes that are in place for building. So right now you can see looking at this, there's that existing house in the middle of this loop, and then there's these pods of homes. And you could have the parking there, you could have the parking somewhere else. What this does is it starts conversation. What we're doing here is we're beginning to visualize what is possible when we think about a different system of living than just a whole bunch of homes in a row in a subdivision. Could you imagine going outside and the first thing that you see is your neighbors' homes and you're seeing them as, hey neighbors, I know you, I care about you, I'll see you later when we play board games tonight. These kinds of experiences, the gardens that we build around these pods, and the way in which this community starts to become a force for good in a greater context of the larger community that we're all a part of. This is the vision. This is the idea. Who gets excited when they look at this site plan compared to other living situations that they've contemplated? How does this look to you guys? What stands out? What's interesting? I'm open to a couple comments. Yeah, we see some thumbs up, see some smiles. Right on, beautiful. Yeah, again, this is a conversation, guys. If you've got ideas, if you've got input, if you've got questions, we're here, we're listening. This is not just us telling you how you should live. This is us exploring what the best way is that we can all live together. This is a slide with a lot of words, and I almost took it out, but I wanted to show you the level of thought and ingenuity that's gone in behind the scenes. We're looking not only at the structures that are required in order to live here, but the financial structures as well. How do we generate revenue as a community? How do we all come together and collaborate to create something that adds value to the community and the surrounding neighborhoods? Whether this is partner college programs and food production and markets and cafes, there's actually a piece of land directly adjacent to Cooper Creek Village, right on the highway, and it's a business site and it's for sale. There are so many opportunities for entrepreneurs who have had these dreams, this vision, they want to workshop, they want to run retreats. There are so many opportunities here. Right on. So I'm curious, guys, what kind of a community business could you imagine being a part of? When you think about your skill sets, when you think about your passions, when you think about your gifts, when you think about what you look around and what the world needs that you know that you could offer, sometimes it's hard to imagine starting that by yourself. But in the context of a supportive community, what is it that you would want to create? What does that look like? Open to your ideas. Sylvie says spiritual retreats, wellness, and art center. Beautiful. I love that. That's so important. It's such a beautiful natural environment that you're in. It's naturally healing to be in these trees. I could see that being a great fit. Anybody else have a business that they do run or that they could imagine bringing into an environment like this? There's so much room for these collaborative ideas. And of course, we would want to be able to support any entrepreneurial endeavors that benefit the community as well. Something to keep thinking about. Market. Brett says markets, food trucks, festivals. Yeah, that sounds like a party. We even got a thumbs up to that. Jabeen says, she says a hyper-local regenerative food system and facilities for growing, learning and processing of locally grown food. Yes, not only could we create the food, but it actually could be a partnership with colleges in the nearby area so that we are training more people how to take these processes, these technologies, these inspired systems, and replicate them elsewhere. This is not a situation of competition, guys. It is all about collaboration. The more people that we can inspire to live in ways like this, the easier and more accessible it becomes for everybody. Beautiful. Joey says, I've been flipping houses my whole life, and this is what it leads up to. I have skills in all aspects of building. Amazing, Joy. How many of you can relate to the sense that you've accomplished something, you have this general sense of who you are, of how you show up in the world, and living within an interconnected community could be the next level in terms of accessing your inner potential? How many of you guys understand the value of community and understanding who you are? Absolutely. Thank you for your hands up. That's beautiful. Scott says carpentry, construction, temple building. Beautiful and mystical. Thank you, Scott. Okay, moving along. This is the team. Look at those beautiful faces. These people, these 6 people, have been working together since December, some of them much longer than that. We already met Bob, Cheryl, and Jean-Marc. Myself, Mark, Matt, and Eric all joined in December saying, can we put together the plan for how this would actually be executed, right? There are so many conversations of people sitting around saying, well, one day, what if maybe we could, but it's hard to make it happen unless you roll up your sleeves and find out how would you do it, lay out the plan, do the budget, do the finance, basically figure out what's required in terms of regulations, in terms of process, in terms of timelines. So we've basically enjoyed the last few months of working very creatively and collaboratively to build the plan so that when we have the founding residents and the investors that see this vision, they can buy in, and we're not starting from ground zero. We're starting way ahead of the curve on this project compared to most community projects. So you guys coming in now and having a look at this project is actually saving months of time compared to how it would typically go. And we're very excited to be able to share this with you. It's been an amazing honor working with such genius people, such brilliance, such massive minds, and also open hearts. So thank you to this team. We'll have a chance to hear more from them as well later if we like. So let's talk briefly about the community structure. If you're interested in investing or you're interested in being a resident, there's going to be multiple opportunities for you to get detailed technical and legal questions answered, as well as ensure that your budget and financing situation makes sense so that we can align that and make it a seamless transition for you. Big picture, what is this? Cooper Creek Village Inc. would be the name of the company that is the community. The residents and the investors would become the shareholders or lenders to the corporation, and it's the corporation that owns the land. Then residents, being shareholders within that company, have the right to a specific pad of their choosing, first come, first serve, and then you have a vote within your community of 1 vote per pad. So you can see that we're basically functioning as a company, as a corporation, a body of people coming together to create and act as something larger. That's what community looks like when you turn it into a legal entity. There's several options out there. What we found is that this one is better than, say, stratas, where you break up the land into these separately titled pieces, and there's a whole bunch of legal costs associated with that, and it can become a little bit daunting for anybody to get started, and what it does is it really inflates the purchase prices for residents. We wanted to keep the purchase prices as low as possible while ensuring the highest degree of collaboration within the community. Let's talk about time. I'm curious, in terms of your own space in life, your own time of what's going on, when would you be ready for community? Is this something that you're thinking about now? If it's now, put now in the chat. If it's maybe later this year in the chat. We'd love to get a sense of what is the urgency, the excitement, maybe the impatience to get into a more robust community living experience. When are you going to be ready for community? If you put in maybe one day in the chat, I can't wait for that day for you to come for you. But what I found is that people who are excited about this want to start to compress time. Collapse time is a barrier, right? Choose how they spend their time, prioritize their dreams and their vision to make it a reality. Sylvie says thinking about it now, but couldn't move in full time for a couple of years. It depends on kids' education. That makes sense, Sylvie. I love that you're thinking about yourself, you're thinking about others. Chad says 1 to 2 years. Joey says now. Joey's ready. Brett says about a year. Tia and Suki Wilkins, I believe from Sunshine Coast, if I recall that correctly, say maybe later this year. So there's a lot of people in this call right now that I'm seeing that are thinking about this, not in terms of an abstract idea, not a what if pipe dream, but you're thinking about the logistical and logistical, financial, economic choices that you would have to make in order to make this a reality for yourself. That's really good because it means the quality of the questions that you're going to ask and the clarity of the vision that you already have is exactly what makes projects like this successful. Sylvie, you're asking a question there. Matt, go ahead and make sure that you've got that question locked in for later. Thank you, Sylvie. So looking at that timeline, this is how we've laid it out. This is in the realm of real estate, in the realm of community development. This is fast, guys. This isn't a what if, this isn't a pipe dream. We have laid out this runway, we've built the jet, now we're looking for the fuel of community support to get this thing to take off. What we're thinking is in March and April, which is right now, we're doing all those regulatory approvals, we're getting the land purchased, we're selecting and choosing and creating the group of founding residents that is required to take this thing from 0 to 1, right? Just to get this thing off the ground. So we're in that preliminary stage right now where we've done all of the feasibility work, we know it's possible, and we know how we would do it. Now we're looking for the group of adventurers, of pioneers, of community aficionados, of people that are interested in these kinds of things to come along and say, yes, I'm ready for the adventure, I'm ready to jump in, let's go. If we can get a few founding residents together and raise the money required from the investors, then by May and June, we're able to do site prep. We're able to do drawings and permits. We're already on our way to the community creation process of choosing what kind of community we want to create. We're getting the construction loans taken care of. Everything is ready to go. The dominoes are lined up. And so we can move a lot quicker because of the preparation that we've done. We would also look for July to be a time this summer. We would want to get the founding residents together, be on the land, experience what it's like to live there, and start a community project. What can we do? Is it, do we start building the garden? Do we start thinking about where the hammocks go? Do we start thinking about what kind of businesses we want to run? We want to start having those collaborative conversations now while we're doing the construction so that we're building it mentally and we're building it in physical form as well. By September, at the earliest, we could have some of the pads built so that you could be moving your modular home in by the fall and celebrating Thanksgiving with a few founding residents. Again, we're not in a rush, we're just ready. So if this timeline interests you and you feel like it's workable with your personal timelines, you might look at that and say, you know what, I could be a founding resident. This makes sense for me. I'm excited about the vision. I believe in the plan. This gets really, this gets you really excited. That's what we're looking for. Now, most people might think they're moving in next March, right? Next spring, about this time next year, we get everybody in the same community. You're all in one place, and we get to have that big welcome dinner. We get to have that community garden planted, and ultimately in April next year, we could be having the Cooper Creek Village open house and start seeing some spinach coming out of the garden, right? So this is a fast timeline, it's compressed, it's efficient. Everybody knows that if you can move efficiently, you save a lot of money. It's also easier to make decisions when you have momentum. We've got these systems in place to help make this a more effortless experience for you because, of course, we do know that moving anywhere from A to B can be daunting, it can be scary, it can be a challenge, it can be complicated. So I want you to know that you've got support of a whole team, myself included, to ensure that emotionally, logistically, financially, You guys are supported through the whole process of making this transition for the whole period of what it's like to move your life to Cooper Creek, get it set up in Cooper Creek, and flourish. That's what community is all about. So let's talk about money. We talked about time, amazing. Let's talk about money. Basically, what we're looking to do in the next 5 weeks is raise $640,000 from investors. So this is money that's going to go directly to purchasing the land so that we've got the land secured. One of the primary things that gets in the way of successful communities is that they all have this shared idea, but they don't have the land to stand on. We will have the land to stand on within 5 weeks. That's what the $640,000 gets us. The extra $100,000 is basically the runway we need administratively to get everything set up and moving, right? From there, we're going to apply for a construction loan. That looks like $1.36 million, give or take. We've got a really detailed budget, but we know that there's going to be some things that we don't have to spend money on and other things that we do have to spend money on. So we're going to get a construction loan, and that plus resident deposits is going to pay for the construction that we need so that we can get this thing built this summer, this fall. Then there's $533,000 that comes from the final sales from the pads. So residents will pay for the pads. That will pay off the construction loan. Any outstanding debt gets converted to a mortgage on the land shared by the Cooper Creek Village Corporation. And suddenly we've got ourselves a functional community within 12 to 14 months. If you guys want any more information on this, as I'm sure any astute investors would, we have lots. And we're happy to set up a call with you to talk through what it looks like in terms of managing the cash flow of this project, ensuring that we've budgeted properly, and making sure that we're managing the funds in a way that feels in alignment with the value of the community. The founding residents, here's your offer. If you're reading this and you're thinking, hey, I like this idea, I like this location, I like Bob and Cheryl, I think Jean-Marc's probably a genius, I want to be part of this. What you're looking at is a one page that outlines the financial offer that is available to you. So we're going to have a workshop for all of the founding residents on April 9th. It's called Design and Align. We're going to have the Design and Align workshop on April 9th. It's $500 per family. So if you and your family think that this is something that you would be interested in, we're going to have the co-creative workshop where you get to help really clarify the vision about the kind of reality that you want to experience in Cooper Creek, get clear about who the other members will be. How do we want to make decisions? What are the values that we hold dear? What skill sets do we want to be available to offer to the community? And what do we need from the community to make this a resonant experience for us? This is a guided, facilitated conversation. This is also an experience where people that are just interested in community creation in general would benefit from having conversations of this caliber that shows you the creativity that's available when a group of people sit together with a clear intention to build something efficiently, effectively, and playfully. So we're going to have that on April 9th. That's your resident workshop fee for $500. That $500 gets credited towards your deposit. So by April 30th, we're looking for a $20,000 deposit from all of the founding residents. These are the founding residents that say, I'm going to lead this project. I'm going to co-create this with this group of pioneers, with these adventurous spirits. We're going to do this together. We're going to make those choices together. If you become one of the founding residents, you're going to give that $20,000, and that's going to go towards your pad, right? So that's your deposit. That's actually going to earn you a 10% ROI because you're actually an investor too. So you, like the investors, will receive a 10% ROI on any funds that are given before April 30th, okay? If you're looking at this and saying, well, am I an investor? Am I a resident? Am I both? Absolutely. There's lots of room for us to have the conversation about you being a resident and also bringing in more funds as an investor, earning that 10% return on additional capital while knowing that you're investing in the future community that you're going to live in. I think that's such a cool offer. Okay, so by April 30th, if you're a founding resident, you've given the $20,000, that's earning you a 10% ROI, which basically becomes a credit to your total purchase price at the end. And you've gotten your priority choice of your pad. Then we get to work. The development team gets to work. We execute the whole process for you. This is community-led, developer-assisted, but we're taking care of those logistical and infrastructural elements. We're helping facilitate the quality of the conversations to make sure that you guys are all in alignment with each other out of the gates and then throughout the process, because we know that there's going to be new ideas and change that comes as a result of starting anything new together. So then by next March, our intention is that we've got this thing built. All the pads are there. You're able to put your modular home on it. The garden is starting to produce those first vegetables. And then we're looking at $50,000 to $70,000 of the additional costs. So basically you've got that $20,000 as the deposit. And at the very low end, we're looking, we'd love to get it down to $50,000 additional dollars. So that's a total of $70,000. It may be as much as $90,000 total in terms of the total construction price. We're being transparent with you that it's a range intentionally. I would just say aim for 80. That's what we're planning to do. If we can get less than that, it's going to be through the creativity and the collaborative efforts of all of the founding residents and the development team working together. And we want to be aligned on that the less this costs, the better it is for everybody, because that means that it's more scalable in more places around the world. That means that we're onto something that's truly beyond sustainable, that is regenerative. March 2026, you're moved in. Basically what we're thinking, and again, this is an estimate at this point, but we're in and around the range of $600 a month per pad as carrying costs for your operating expenses, for the mortgage, for the 28 acres of land that you now co-own. So you can begin to start crunching your numbers and thinking about how this lands in relation to your budget. A lot of people are coming from a house that's worth $500,000 or more or less. But either way, compared to what's out there on the market, you can see that this becomes a far more affordable price point. And there's certain abundance mindset that comes into play when you're thinking about being a co-owner of 28 acres of pristine forest, creekside, right in the heart of the Kootenays. So a lower price point than your average home, and yet you get more that you get to share with people that you love as the result of it. Who thinks that's interesting? Who finds this model compelling? See a few hands going up? Beautiful. Thank you, guys. If you're sitting there crunching numbers, if there's concern about these things, if you're trying to figure out how to make it work, or you feel like you need more details, I understand. It can be challenging to talk about money, and it can be triggering for some of us. If you feel like you would like somebody to bounce these ideas off of to help make sure that it makes sense for you, I'm here for that. That's what I want to do. So that I am the doorman right now. I'm opening the door and I'm saying, come on in, let me get that for you. Any obstacles, any barriers that you have, any hypotheticals and what ifs and concerns, please bring them to my attention. I want to be there for you, but also your concerns, your questions, your what ifs benefit the whole project, because we get to convert those concerns into curiosity, which really just becomes future better solutions for everybody. Okay, now if you're an investor, this is what it looks like. We're looking for $50,000 investments up to $740,000 of investments. This is approximately 12-month cycle from the time that you pay it to the payback, and we're offering a return of 10%. So if you crunch the numbers on how much you want to make on your investment, pretty easy, it's 10%. This is both an attractive return and it's also a sustainable return as we look at how to make this affordable for as many people as possible across future developments in Canada. So I want to know, now that we've run through all of this, what excites you about Cooper Creek Village? What excites you? What's interesting in this? What parts do you like? What stands out? What resonates? Possibilities, says Joey. Yes, it's a bit of a blank canvas at this moment. You can kind of feel there's this infinite potential within Cooper Creek. Chad says it seems well organized and the cost seems reasonable. Absolutely. Joey reminds us that it's a beautiful area of the world. They say we love this area of the world. Yes, the Kootenays is absolutely stunning. Any founding residents that are really taking this seriously, we would love to take you out to the property, show you around, get your sense of what's possible on this land as well. Brent says, great job crunching the numbers. You know it. Yeah, it looks simple on this spreadsheet, but we were extremely rigorous in our financial planning to account for all sorts of contingencies. Yes. Thank you guys for this. I appreciate your feedback. So how do you get involved? Let's say you're interested in exploring being a founding member of Cooper Creek. And remember, it takes a village to build a village. I think that's really important. We want to start creating a sense of community immediately. We want this to be a co-created experience. We want your genius, your fingerprint on this project. So if you feel like you could be a potential founding resident, if that sounds interesting to you, then we've got the Founders Workshop, Design and Align, on April 9. It's $500 a family. And Matt is actually putting the link in the chat right now. So you can click that, open that up in a separate browser, and check that out later. Stay with me though. If you feel like you could also be an investor, or just an investor, and not a resident, either way, it doesn't matter. I want to talk to you. You're going to get a link through that same link that Matt's putting in the chat. You'll see an opportunity to book a call with me. I want to hear about what your vision is. I want to hear about what you're inspired by. I also want to know what kind of concerns, criteria, questions, any critical thinking that comes up about how to make these projects as effective as possible. We want to collaborate with our investors, and we want your genius also included on the blueprint of this community creation process. Now, we've talked about residents, we've talked about investors, but I also want to keep it open for everybody else involved here. If you feel like you could be a community partner, which is really somebody that looks at this project and says, hey, I've got skills, I've got gifts, talents, energy, resources, connections. That is all valuable. It takes a village to build a village. We want you along for the ride in terms of the services that you can provide, what the value that you can offer to Cooper Creek Village. Let's make this a Kootenay collaborative experience. Who's in for that? Who sounds like they could be a community partner, a resident, an investor? Who feels like one of these three kind of fits them? Absolutely. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. Beautiful. With that in mind, what this really is an invitation to a further conversation. So I want you to feel really open to sharing your inspiration with me. Let's get on a phone call. Let's talk about this. If you already know, listen, Josh, I'm in. I know I want to be a founding resident. This is exactly what I was looking for. I've been looking for community. I want to put my skills to use. I know that I've got something to give, and I love the energy that this team has. I love the inspiration. I love the way that we're putting nature at the top of this. I'm in. I want to join the Founders Workshop. Then this is really your chance to get to help create that inspired collective vision and establish the core values of the community. You guys are setting the North Stars. You're standing at the foundation of this experience and saying, here's the kind of world I want to live in. As a result of attending the workshop, you'll experience and receive ongoing guidance throughout the community creation process. And that workshop fee of that $500 goes towards your deposit. So that goes towards your $20,000 deposit. And of course, that means that you're getting a 10% ROI on that. And then of course you get the priority pad choice and a welcome gift. And we welcome you with open arms and open hearts and open minds. There are so many brilliant people out there, and we would love to see a group of excited, passionate people get together to get this thing off of the ground financially, logistically. Bring your skill sets. So what does success for this look like? We've talked about the time, the money, the people, the expertise that's required. Right now, we're looking for 10 residents to attend the Founders Workshop on April 9th. That's the goal. It could be more, it could be less, but if we had 10 people sitting there saying, hey, this is what we want Cooper Creek Village to feel like, this is how we want to show up to the world, this is the kind of life we want to live, we want to be in the dirt with our hands, growing our food, we want to walk amongst the old growth trees, we want to lay down in the creek on a hot summer day and just say, these are the kinds of people that we're looking for. If we can get 5 of those people to say, yes, let's do it by April 30th, then we've got the founding residents secured, locked in, they're ready to go, they're committed. And then we also need, by that same deadline, the aligned investors to pool and commit $640,000 by April 30th. This allows us to buy the land by May 7th, which is the goal, so that we can get the construction loans to get everything in place. This is fast, like I said, but this is not impatience. This is not desperation. This is how motivated are people? How excited are they to make this happen? How much do we realize that these are the kind of projects that we do want to support, that we do want to be a part of, that we do want to live in? And let's go. Let's get the first one started. As Jean-Marc always likes to remind me, this is just one project. He's thinking on scales of 10, 12 of these, but we need the first one to work before we can get into that biggest vision that we know is possible. It's really about working on the scale of how do we make the Kootenays a better place, one village at a time. We are going to send these links by email as well so that you can register for the Align and Design workshop. If you want to talk to me about being an investor, amazing. There's a link to my calendar right there. I want to hear from you by April 9th as well with your vision, with your contribution. What does that look like? And community partners. This is an ongoing relationship with all of us. Keep thinking, keep it in the back of your mind. What can I contribute to Cooper Creek? How can I get involved? What skill sets, resources do I have that can make this a successful experience for everybody involved? So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for learning. Thanks for exploring and imagining and envisioning what is possible. I would love to have some questions and potentially some answers along with those. And I'd like to know what's on your minds. What kind of things were you excited about that you saw in this presentation? What kind of challenges would you like to address? You know, what are your questions about Cooper Creek Village? You can raise your hand. You can also put those questions in the chat. If you do raise your hand, we will offer to unmute you so that you can share your question from your own voice. If you prefer just to put it in the chat, that's an option as well. But before you guys take off, I just want to say thank you for being here. And this is a real gift to share this experience with you. Okay, on to questions. Whose mind is buzzing with curiosity? Okay, I see a hand raised there, Joey. Joey's clapping, he's waving, he's thumbs up. Okay, let's, Joey, did you want to put it in the chat or would you like to us just talk? Yeah, Matt, can we unmute Joey?
Yeah, I just.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, my name's Dean. I'm with Joey here. We both are very interested in this whole project you guys got going on. My first question is just about the building of the sites. Is there a mandatory geodesic dome, or are we open to interpretation of what we would like? Like, I know you want to do it sustainable, but that was my question, basically.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Joey. We're going to create a templated size of pad. And on that, we're intending that you can bring whatever tiny modular home you're looking at. We will have some general design criteria and some checklists to ensure that, A, you're prepared for living in this kind of environment, because there's some homes out there that you might get a good deal, but it's not what you want to live in, et cetera. So we're going to work with the residents to ensure that they're choosing a home that works for the pads that we have. And those are tiny modular homes. I just chatted with one of the home builders locally that's in the Kootenays yesterday. They're very excited about this project. There's several of these companies at different price points. So our goal is basically to come up with, call it 5 pre-approved homes on a spec level so that people know what's possible here, and ensuring that there's a range in terms of price, size, aesthetic, and of course, everybody is going to find ways to make a home their personal, their own, finishing touches on it as well.
And you mentioned before the different square footage. Was it 550 to 750 square foot? Is there any stipulations on that, or is it up to?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's stipulations on it at this moment. What we would want to do is work with the founding residents to find out exactly what they want and then build the plan around that, right? It's not, we don't want 20 different size pads, but if everybody says, hey, we're gravitating towards this builder, it's the best price, they can get it to us on time, et cetera, we're not going to get in the way of that. We want to make sure that this community works for the people that are creating it themselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Morgan, I see a hand going up. We've also got some questions in the chat.
I've got some questions in the chat here from earlier. First one is, I'm curious about the decision-making process and the governance model. So maybe you could touch on that, Josh.
Yeah, this is a great question. And in terms of building community, the governance model is one of those things where sometimes people don't ask about it and then they find out how much they wish they would have asked about it, because how you make decisions is how you create community. So what we're looking at right now is a model called sociocracy, which is really intended to be at its forefront. It's very collaborative. And what it does is it takes any adversarial elements or debates and creates a process whereby the best of every idea is inserted. The best of every criticism turns into an improvement on the overall plan. So it values the polarities, it values the push and the pull until there's a plan that everybody says, you know what, I think that could work. So it's based on consent. It's saying, yeah, you know what, I'm not that passionate about this one decision, but it seems like it works, I'm in. Whereas the people who say, I am really passionate about this, here's what I know, here's what I can contribute, that's valued as well. So we're looking at a governance model that ensures equality so that every pad owner has a vote and their voices are heard. A lot of times you get into situations where you feel pressure not to share, even though you have a good idea and you think that you're just getting in the way. We're ensuring, and I live by this and I die by this, it's really important that people who have concerns can bring them up. It's really, I thank you for your criticism. Thank you for your concerns. We have a process, and sociocracy embeds that within the process to ensure that all of the best ideas are integrated into the collective vision.
Okay.
So Sylvie's asking, one vote per founding member, and the voting occurs at every step of the decision-making process. So it would be one vote per family unit, right? So you guys will make a decision together, and this is something that we'll get more into in the workshop and make these decisions together. But ultimately, the first decisions are made at the founders workshop, and that's where the founding residents will begin to create their input into this project. The money will also go into the community, and the community will fund the development company. So that's aligning the development company and the community to ensure that we're building the same end goal together. Thanks, Sylvie. Thanks for asking that. Other questions? Whose brains are ticking? Who's been thinking about community?
I've
Who's been
got
thinking about regenerative practices?
I've got another one for you. Are we able to buy in and be a part-time inhabitant?
Out of the gates, we are prioritizing full-time residents. These are people that want to make this their lifestyle. This is their dream. This is where they want to live, and they want to have a relationship with the people in the community. We're also not going to be doing an attendance sheet every morning. So if you guys have life lived elsewhere and there's family and you travel or whatever, that's part of life and that's okay. And we do want to know that this is basically the primary residence and that you have a vested interest in the well-being of your community and that you are a part of it on a regular basis. So keep that intention in mind as you think about how that resonates with your lifestyle, but we don't want to make a hard and fast rule about how many days per year you need to be in your home. Does that make sense? Cool. Cool, yes. Other questions?
Another one here from the chat, Josh, is how accessible is it? Is it year-round access? What are the roads like? Is the land generally flat or is it on a mountainside?
Yeah, beautiful. So there's the highway that goes north of Caslow. I'd actually love to see if Bob and Cheryl have any other additional insights on this, but it is a serviced highway, and the land where the homes are built is relatively flat. There's already a home on there, and there's a nice gravel road that we're building it around. So we would need some snow clearing in the winter for that road to keep it open, like a lot of places in the Kootenays. In terms of the quality of the roads, yeah, the highway is paved, and right now the gravel driveway through the property. It's clear, but it's not paved or packed or anything like that. Bob and Cheryl, did you have any other comments? I mean, you guys live there year round. I'd love to hear what it's like for you guys in terms of the winter accessibility. What does that take? What does that look like?
Well, usually we get a pretty mild winter, around -5 is an average temperature. This year we had a total of about 14 inches of snow, which was light. We usually have between 2 and 3 feet of snow, but we also have about 10 days of cold weather, usually in the first week or so of January, and sometimes a second cold spell in late February. But overall, it's as the planet's warming up, our environment is warmer. So the next to the coast, the Kootenays are a relatively warm area for winter.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate that. Morgan, do you feel like you got an answer to the question you're looking for there? Awesome. Thank you so much. Sylvie, you got your hand raised. Would you like to say something? Beautiful.
Hey, sorry, just a little bit, another question about the decision-making process as it relates to like the design workshop. So $500 to be able to attend that. And I thought from what you guys said in the slides that it was like welcome to people who are interested in this type of a model. So how much weight, like how does that go if the people, not everyone who attends the workshop is one of the founding, goes on to make the $20,000 founding member contribution? How does that impact the design changes that they contributed to?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, Sylvie. So the first thing that I would say to that is if people come to the founding workshop, founding members workshop, and they contribute, that's valuable for the community as a whole because you're just creating a more holistic experience and taking into account multiple perspectives. If that person chose to not become one of the founding members but paid for that and comes back later, then we would honor that as part of their deposit towards a purchase price later as well. You wouldn't receive the ROI on it, but that would be a credit towards your purchase price. In terms of protecting the integrity of the decisions that are made with that community group and ensuring that it's the founding members who are making those decisions, it's also important to recognize that there will be an opportunity for all decisions to be completely iterative, right? So as we move through the process, new people are going to join the decision-making process, right? As new people come in, and some ideas that may have felt really resonant one day, we might find that there might be better alternatives later. And so this is a living, breathing organism that we're creating here, where there's going to be some in, there's going to be some out, and we need to make space for that and keep the best ideas always rising to the surface with whatever that founding group is that's, paying to play. Thank you, Sylvie. Any other questions? It's 7:19. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We've covered a lot of ground tonight. There's a lot to think about. I do want to reiterate, Matt, if you can drop the link one more time in the chat, that the best way for us to move forward is to either sign up for the Founding Members Workshop or book a call with me and share concerns, questions, feedback, ideas, inspiration, whatever is alive for you about Cooper Creek Village. This is your time to contribute and make sure that all the best ideas and all the most passionate people are having one collective conversation. So thank you guys for your participation. Any other questions? Any other puzzlements? Any other ideas?
There was two more in the chat, Josh. There was one, are you open to self-built tiny homes on wheels?
That would be a decision that I, again, would defer to the founding residents to discuss. I mean, there's pros and cons related to that. We're prioritizing or have been envisioning permanent homes that are not on wheels and going through the relevant conversations with the RDCK to ensure that that is viable and that they're insurable. We've also been chatting with NDCU, who's been a great partner in this, about financing options for people that are looking to purchase tiny homes. There's lots of opportunities for people who have self-sufficiency skills to be involved in this. And if the self-built tiny home meets the criteria and this various regulatory body standards, that certainly could be an option. And I'd be interested in talking with you directly about your plan, your experience, the technical understanding of what's required. And if that's something that feels feasible, then I would love to see that come together. I mean, that's a very high level of self-sufficiency if you're building your own home. And I have a lot of respect for that. Beautiful. Any other questions there, Matt? Jabeen, is there a site visit planned? We haven't set a date yet because we would want to try to coordinate as many of the founding residents as possible. So the Founding Members Workshop will be a virtual experience. We will have lots of site photos. We'll chat through it. In terms of actually visiting the site, we would be doing that on a case-by-case basis on the basis of serious interest and coordinating that so that multiple people are able to attend at one time. And I would likely come out there. I know Bob and Cheryl would definitely be there. And we'd want to make sure that you get the full grand tour and see all of the beauty that's available at that piece of land. Thank you, Jabin. Awesome. We got a thumbs up. I love it.
We had Jabin had another question there. How do you guarantee a 10% return for investors?
Yeah, beautiful. Let's think about that. So you'll put in your money as an investor. You're going to validate the business plan yourself. So every business plan, every investment does carry a certain amount of risk. You're going to look at who the development team is. You're going to look at the budget. You're going to look at the timeline. You're going to assess the interest level of the residents and the amount of demand that there is. And then you're going to become one of the prospective developers. You're going to have the mindset of somebody who says, hey, I see that the world needs this, and I see that this is the kind of project I want to be a part of. I want to see and vote for the success of this project by putting my money in that direction. In terms of an actual guarantee, what you're going to get is it's already in the budget. We've budgeted for your return. So when these units sell, when the 20 units sell, that's what frees up the funds that immediately pays you back the 10% return. So to the extent that we sell the 21 units is the extent to which this project is successful. And we believe that that will be the result of good planning and really that core founding team and those investors that are aligned, passionate, connected, and resonating with the vision as it's outlined and created by them. Sylvie's asking, are you expecting to have all 20 units sold? Yes, Sylvie, I am. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do it.
Josh, I can add a little bit more on the investor
Great.
one as well.
Thank you.
I'd say something also is we've systematically seek to reduce risk on this project every step of the way. I mean, that's the part of why we're doing the resident workshop as well, to just ensure that we have enough residents that are interested. And we're seeking to reduce risk every step of the way. And then the other part is, as far as real estate investments are concerned, getting paid back in 12 months is pretty unheard of. It's a pretty great investment. And a big reason for that is because it is a lot simpler than other real investments. Rather than having to build a whole bunch of homes and whatever else, the modular homes make it a lot simpler. So that all we're really building out is the pads. And so it's a lot simpler. And we've seek to reduce risk where we've gotten involved with the RDCK and municipalities, BC government. We've checked all the boxes. And we've also added people on the team that are extremely experienced. So we've got Mark with Ellenwood Homes. He's been building the Kootenays for 20 plus years. We've got advisors that are, in the co-housing industry that have, been around the block and built many of these communities. So we're trying to stack the team with as many people as possible that are also going to guarantee success on this project.
Great answer, Matt. Thanks for adding that. Selena is asking, is it $600 a month for pad rent? And do we get a 10% return on that as well? So let's break that down. So it's your payment per month for the pad. So it's kind of the operating costs, right? It's like the equivalent of like condo fees and a mortgage rolled into one. So that's what we're estimating is the $600 per month. There isn't a return on that, but this actually dovetails into Chad's question, which is, will the $600 per pad rental change? There is a lot of room and a lot of potential for that to go down. In terms of revenue generated from businesses owned by the community, those proceeds will offset the costs that residents incur. And or not, but it'll be the residents themselves sitting down and saying, listen, we're generating quite a bit of wealth here. We've got some cool entrepreneurial ideas. We don't need to pay as much on monthly fees because we're paying our mortgage with the business that we're running down the street. Amazing. So this is an entrepreneurial endeavor for the residents, and you kind of get to choose your own destiny in terms of how creative can you be, how collaborative can you be, and then you immediately not only save money, but you begin to make money as well. Joey's asking, will it be power connected to the grid or will it all be off grid? Great question. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Dean. This is, we will have power. So we're going to be hooked up to power, although there's certainly lots of opportunities for us to use solar panels or other forms of off-grid energy generation. We've got a creek that we could go hydroelectric from right there. So we're going to explore these ideas, weigh the pros and cons, have the discussions around them, ensure that we're getting the best bang for buck, and make choices as a team through that. But no, we're not looking to start out as a purely off-grid community, though the mindset that goes into that and the ingenuity behind it is still absolutely essential to us planning for the community that we want to live in. What else? I love these questions. I appreciate your guys' enthusiasm, your curiosity. Your questions enrich the final experience. Just asking them makes a difference. And I also hope you guys recognize and look around and see there's a lot of people that care about this stuff. You know, we had a lot of people register. Of course, most of them are going to watch this later when it works for them and their timeline. And that's really exciting to know that you're part of that larger conversation. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the magic that we come to the Kootenays to create, for sure, right? Okay, anything else? Anybody else have any last minute thoughts, ideas? Beautiful. Travis is asking, great job so far, guys. What is the water source infrastructure? Yeah, so we've got the creek there, and we've had initial investigations to see what it looks like to get a water license from the creek. It's a year-round creek. It's beautiful, it's clean, it's clear. So that's one option. And then there's also wells, lots of wells in the area, which you can also get licenses for. So obviously water is essential. We're right along a water source, and we see multiple paths forward that are successful. Oh, Bob and Cheryl, you got something you'd like to say? Absolutely, let's hear it out. See if I can, 1 second.
Just like to make a comment for the people that are watching, in that we're selling the land, but we still want to participate in the project. So we would, we plan to have one of the sites for our family.
We are going to invest. That's what he said.
And we will invest also, and we will be part of the initial group in clearing some of the land for the site. So just to let people know that we'll be around, and that we also, this is our not our residence that we're selling. Our residence adjoins the property, and it's 50 acres. So just to give them a bit more background of where we're at.
Yeah, and I'll, back this up with Bob and Cheryl. This is super unique. You don't get an opportunity like this where the landowners are partners on top of, the history in the region. Typically communities have an uphill battle because people just walk into a certain area without any experience. The experience is Bob and Cheryl. And they know the land, they know the neighbors, they're partners in the project. This is why I've been committed to them and to this project since day one. And this is why we have other partners stepping up to play, like the Nelson District Credit Union. RDCK is looking at this as saying, wow, this is, exactly what we want to have happen for other properties in the Kootenays, where older adults step up and say, hey, now's the time to do something different. And this is why it's wonderful things. So thank you so much, Bob and Cheryl.
Yes, thank you, Bob and Cheryl. There you go. The first residents verbally jumping in and first investors. Love it. Thank you guys for your big hearts. Anyone else just want to go on speakerphone and say that they're in? I mean, I'm happy to hear any enthusiasm. If people are like, this is exactly what I was looking for, I'm here for that. Absolutely. I imagine there's going to be a few people that need to have some conversations with themselves, with their partners, with their kids, with their parents. I'm here for that as well. Right on. Okay, it's 7:31, guys. This has been amazing. Thank you guys for your time, your energy, your curiosity. Thank you for caring about community. Thank you for inserting yourself into this idea of Cooper Creek Village and seeing what that feels like to try it on as a lifestyle, as a choice that you make about how you spend your life. Thank you guys for contributing the questions, and make sure If you haven't already, click the link, Matt, one more time, put it in the chat so that you guys can get in contact with me, have a conversation, share your ideas, share your concerns, bring it to me. Let's see what we can make happen. We'll chat soon. We'll be in touch with everybody with a recording of this and with next steps by email as well. And this is just the beginning, guys. This conversation is just getting started. So watch your emails, watch our website, and we'll be in touch with exciting updates as they unfold. Thank you. Have a good
Thanks,
time.
Josh.
See you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
See you.